Released in the late 80s, the Sega Genesis was one of the first systems powerful enough to open up several choices for game design. From ports of arcade games to sprawling adventures, from the cartoonish to something maybe a little bit more realistic. Here are just a few homebrew games that took full advantage of Sega's best-selling console. The Cursed Knight is a shoot-'em-up with a twist. You'll start off as a magical suit of flying armor shooting away at enemies, you know, no big deal. But halfway through the first level, the game becomes a platformer. It's a nice combination, and you'll be frequently blasting away at things on the ground to find yourself suddenly back in the air, and vice versa. Presumably to make the flying and platforming sections more consistent, there's only two upgradable weapons that you can always switch between. A slower tracking shuriken and a more powerful straightforward shot. And you'll have to use both of them effectively in order to rescue the princess. She's dead. You'll have to use both of them effectively in order to find the artifact that'll bring the princess back to life. It's a great looking game with several parallax scrolling effects, cool lighting, and huge enemies. And it's pretty new with only the demo out right now, so keep an eye on this one. It looks like it's going to be special. Yazzie is a cute little puzzle platformer where you play as a ghost boy and have to collect all the gold to finish a level. But watch out, there's plenty of enemies and traps to stop you on your way. If you want to go back a bit, it's kind of reminiscent of Spelunky. If you go really far back, it's almost like Montezuma's Revenge. If you want to go really, really far back, it's sort of like going out in a deep cave and looking for gold in real life. You know, sorta. But the level design is great here, from bottomless floors, landmines, to activatable bridges. By far the most important mechanic are the pickaxes. Using one will let you hack away at a floor piece below you, but you only get a few per level, so you'll have to use them sparingly and in the correct order. It's all a very cozy play. The difficulty is a bit on the easier side, and a dedicated restart level button means you can attack these puzzles at your own pace. It's a cute little slower paced adventure with a great art style, and it's an absolute joy to play. On a stranger note, we have Pringles. Oh, Cool Spot wasn't enough for you and you need something to wash your 7-Up down with? Sure, take a game based off a chip mascot. Not even the first one on the Genesis, by the way. Might actually be healthier just to eat Cheetos. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Collect all the Pringles and get to the end of the level. There's 3 different stages: sour cream and onion, basil and tomato, and black pepper. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Black pepper. The levels don't add anything special, they just increase in difficulty, with the sour cream levels being the easiest and the black pepper levels being the hardest. They do have fascinating backgrounds though, from onion mountains, giant pepper shakers, especially the overgrown tomatoes. They just look surreal. It's almost like a Zen-like dream world where you can just sit back, relax, and maybe, you know, pop open a can of pecan pie flavored Pringles. Or not. You can get through this game in less than 10 minutes. You can aim for a high score with racking up a combo by not touching the ground, but unless you want the A grade on every level, it's not worth the trouble. And seriously, ask yourself, what kind of person would go through that trouble? When it comes to food-related games, Pringles is definitely one of them. Fix-It Felix Jr. is a recreation of the arcade game seen in the movie Wreck-It Ralph, and it's nothing more and nothing less. Everything you would want is here, from I'm gonna wreck it to I can fix it, and everything in between. But seriously, this is exactly what you'd want from something like this. Your goal is to fix all the windows as fast as possible to get to the next floor. Once you clear 5 levels, you'll throw Ralph off the roof and start over again at a harder difficulty. If this was all there was to Fix-It Felix Jr., it would get stale pretty quickly. But thankfully, the developer added small features to increase the difficulty while fitting into the theme of the game pretty well. Shutters and overhangs prevent you from getting to a window in a certain direction, and ducks serve as an additional horizontal hazard. It's a pretty simple game, but you have to keep in mind it's really a simulation of an older arcade game running on the Genesis, and it's a near perfect replication of what was shown in the film. You will not find a better looking Genesis homebrew game than Xeno Crisis. This top-down shooter takes the likes of Smash TV and the Alien series and smashes it together, and out comes a multitude of manic masculine mayhem. There's a surprising amount of depth here, from the constant ammo depletion, melee attack, to dog tags you can pick up that are used as currency between levels. Besides shooting, you'll get grenades along with several temporary gun upgrades. But even more important than that, you'll get a roll that grants invincibility. And you'll have to master this if you want any chance at completing the levels, because they are hard. The enemy types get trickier and trickier as you progress. From burrowing worms, xenomorphs that leave toxic blood, to mouth squids that dodge bullets. The bosses are also beautifully detailed and appropriate, from a giant meat pile to Cthulhu himself. This is usually the part where I'd say this is my most recommended game, but today all the games are basically on par with each other, so give any of them a try first. Except for the Pringles game. Nah, that one's actually pretty good.